Ma'am, can we wait for 1 minute?
Sure, no issues.
Our principal has to join.
Okay.
We are also streaming this live on YouTube, ma'am. So only capacity is 100 only. So the others are viewing through YouTube, ma'am, today.
Okay, okay. What is the profile of the students?
From first year till the final year, ma'am. All the students.
Okay.
Actually, we have Institute Innovation Council in the college.
I don't hear you.
So it's a initiative from the MHRD, ma'am. So so they are trying to encourage all the students and faculty in terms of innovation, entrepreneurship, and startup ecosystem. So as a part of that, we are conducting a series of webinars pertaining to these particular topics. So today, this is like it's a mandatory, like the NEP's focus should be on innovation and the entrepreneurship and startup ecosystem. So that's why I was asking you.
Yeah, I have covered both the regulation and the governance aspects and innovation, but I think we should have a separate session on entrepreneurship.
Yeah, yes.
I think that because one talk will not do justice to all the. I have tried to focus on the most important aspects, but we can do one session on startups and entrepreneurship and innovation.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Supriya ma'am, shall we start? Hello, Supriya ma'am. Shall we start? Okay. Good morning, all. I, Dr. Vanipriya, Associate Professor and Convener IIC, on behalf of Institute Innovation Council, Surrey VIT, welcome you all for the session on NEP's focus on governance, leadership, innovation, and entrepreneurship in higher education. Institute Innovation Council is an initiative from Ministry of Education, Government of India, whose objective is to nurture the culture of startup ecosystem, innovation, and entrepreneurship in institutions. We are conducting this session under the banner of IIC, For today's session, we have Dr. Kalpana Gopalan, IAS, Additional Chief Secretary, Department of Youth Empowerment and Sports, Government of Karnataka. Thank you, ma'am, for giving us time from your busy schedule. We are happy, we are highly privileged and honored to have you as a resource person for this session, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Now, I would like to request Dr. Nagendra sir, HOD Biotechnology and Vice President IIC, to introduce the resource person.
Thank you, madam. Very good morning to one and all present here. Respected Dr. Kalpana Gopalan, IAS. Very good morning to you, madam. Respected principal, respected
Thank you, and good morning to you too.
Thank you, madam. Respected principal, respected heads of the departments, respected faculty members of this institute, and wonderful students. It gives me immense pleasure, and I deem it as a very rare honor to introduce this very distinguished speaker for today's session. Dr. Kalpana Gopalan, IAS, is a composite public policy professional, a true versatile personality in essence. She wears many hats as a practitioner, policy maker, scholar, author, volunteer, and of course, a wonderful mother. She has secured the 19th rank in the All India Combined Civil Services Examinations back in 1987, and her 33-year work experience in the Indian Administrative Service spans this administration, land administration, urban management, public distribution system, sports, rural development, youth, training and education, etc., etc. She is now the Additional Chief Secretary, Department of Youth Empowerment and Sports, Government of Karnataka. Dr. Kalpana is the recipient of the Mother Teresa Women Empowerment Award for outstanding contribution to excellence in leadership, the International Human Rights Award under the Women of Courage category 2019, the Sexy Brilliant COVID Leadership Award, and the Social Activist Pratibha Samman Award 2020. She was recognized as a great warrior of humanity by the International Human Rights Advisory Council for her outstanding performance, commitment, contribution, and dedication towards the humanitarian services and best practices on COVID-19 prevention in this very, very unique year, and was appreciated by the UNICEF and the Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences for the support in COVID-19 response. She is, of course, a LinkedIn wonder woman and an inspirational leader. She was facilitated and awarded citations, commendations, and appreciations by a variety of universities from India and abroad. To name a few, by the Bangalore University, NIT University, Anepoya University, Mysore University, IIASRW, Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, VTU, Vishweshwara Technological University, Valid Empowering Women's Growth, Gulbarga University, Jain University, Ramaya Institute of Technology, Acharya Institutions, Melkote Academy of Sanskrit, Sheshadipuram Trust, SJES Institutions, Honorary Council Republic of Maldives, and Institute of Engineers of India, etc., etc. She stewarded the NLM UNESCO 2000 Award for Karnataka with her work in literacy and the Karnataka Ratna Award 2013 for the Kaveri Handicraft. She is advisor, Bangalore City Corporation, honorary consultant, Administrative Training Institute, Mysore, member of the advisory committee of the Public Sector Advisories and Grant Thornton LLP, and also a member of the advisory board, Government Blockchain Association of India. It's truly inspirational to read her CV, and as a hybrid leader with a unique mix of public service, business, school of academics, credentials, Dr. Kalpana Gopalan, IAS, has combined a unique mix of academic and practical experiences and work collaboratively across the private, public, and non-profit organizations. She has honed her research skills with a doctorate and Masters in Public Policy from the IIM Bangalore. She was rated among the top 2% of the doctoral candidates in the past decade for her research on infrastructure, public-private partnerships, and as a gold medalist and an university topper in her undergraduate and master's. She was visiting fellow at the McGill and Concordia universities in Canada, EU fellowship in the University of Salerno in Italy, achieving Gould Scholar in the Institute of Development Studies, UK, and Maxwell Public Policy Scholar in Syracuse University, USA. She trained in evidence for policy design in the Center for International Development, Harvard of Economics, UK, and Advanced Women Leadership in the Harris School of Public Policy, University of Chicago in 2019. She was twice selected as a VSSP scholar by the University of Free State, Bloemfontein, South Africa, and of course, the International Institute for Applied Systems Analysis. She presents papers in the national and international fora and has published 3 books and many journal articles. She is a sought-after speaker and has delivered over more than 250 talks on different aspects of public policy to national and global audiences. Dr. Kalpana Gopalan pursues her academic interests on Senior Research Fellow in the National Institute of Urban Affairs, New Delhi, and is a visiting fellow in the Institute of School and Economics Change, Bangalore University, and at the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, Acharya Bangalore B School, Kuvempu Rural University, Shivamogga University, and has also worked as or is executing services as advisory board member at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, School of Business and Academic Council, Mahatma Gandhi Kashi Vidyapeeth, Varanasi, and a member of the MDP Advisory Committee, Presidency University, Bangalore. She is the Chief Editorial Advisor of the 360MR and member Editorial Advisory Board of the IIBST, IJASRW, and IFERP, very reputed journals. Dr. Kalpana Gopalan volunteers as advisor, Akshay Patra Foundation, Bangalore, Chief Patron, NSS, and a mentor of the Ashoka Innovators for Public, Technical Advisor, Grassroots Research and Advisory Movements, Mysore, and as an advisor of the Bangalore Women Forum. She is also the advisory panel of the Center for Health and Development, Bangalore. She has been speaker in very many professional platforms. As a prolific writer, blogger, and a speaker, she has served as a secretary, Toastmasters, International IIMB Orators Cell as well. She has an active social media presence in LinkedIn, YouTube, and academic edu and various other forums. Widely traveled across globe, like countries like North America, Europe, Asia. Dr. Kalpana Gopalan is a comfortable living person and a very approachable, humble, service-minded human being who is working in the multicultural milieu. She relaxes, of course, to music in the company of her family, including her husband and wonderful 2 children. Such a very versatile personality and a very distinguished person. We are very proud, madam, that you are in the government of Karnataka. We are very honored by your esteemed presence. And I am sure, okay, your profile itself is an inspiration for all of us and many of our students. And we'll be eagerly looking forward to your wonderful talk on this national education policy, focus on governance,
ಇದೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನನ್ನ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾದಂತಹ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನ ಅಭಿನಂದನೆಗಳನ್ನ ತಿಳಿಸ್ತಾ ನನ್ನ ಮಾತಿಗೆ ವಿರಾಮ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ವೆರಿ ಮಚ್.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ, ತುಂಬಾ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to request Dr. Kalpana ma'am to start the session. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, Dr. Vani, please share screen from your end, and I'll
Yeah.
just tell you when you change the slides.
Yeah,
I
ma'am.
also noticed that there's a slight time lag between our speaking and the voice coming through. So I'm going to go a little bit slowly, so which means it will take a bit longer than I initially planned, but just keeping you informed.
Okay, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. I'll share
Let
this.
me begin now, and good morning to all of you, and thank you all for that very warm welcome and that very detailed introduction. I congratulate the Visvesvaraya Institute of Technology, Bangalore, for organizing this very relevant and topical webinar on the new education policy. I have no doubt that every aspect of the NEP 2020 is being discussed throughout the higher education ecosystem. I will today focus on the implications of the NEP on aspects of leadership, governance, innovation, and entrepreneurship in higher education. I do feel that we need a separate session to really do justice to the innovation and entrepreneurship, and I was just suggesting that to Dr. Vani. However, today we'll touch upon it a little bit. Now, beginning with leadership and governance. Second slide, please. There are two aspects to the governance of any institution. Number two, please. Yeah. There are two aspects to the governance of any institution: external regulation and internal governance. And the NEP addresses both of them. I will briefly highlight the provisions relating to external regulation and self-governance, then look at the implications and nuances of the proposed provisions. Number three, please. With reference to external regulation, a significant change of NEP 2020 is to create a single regulator for higher education institutions. Let us look at the pre-NEP scenario, which is what we are all used to. We have several regulators in higher education: the UGC, which governs universities, the AICTE for engineering education, and the NCTE, which regulates teachers' education. NEP attempts to improve governance by bringing in a single regulator, the Higher Education Commission of India, to regulate all institutions barring medical and law colleges. The HECI is envisaged as a single overarching umbrella body for the entire realm of higher education, excluding medical and legal education. It will have four independent verticals: the National Higher Education Regulatory Council for Regulation, the General Education Council for Standard Setting, the Higher Education Grants Council for Funding, and the National Accreditation Council for Accreditation. Next, please. Let us look at the details of the four verticals. The first vertical of HECI will be the National Higher Education Regulatory Council. It will function as the common single point regulator for the higher education sector, including teacher education and excluding medical and legal education. Next slide. The primary mechanism to enable the regulatory process will be accreditation. The second vertical of HECI will therefore be a meta-accrediting body, which is called the National Accreditation Council. Next, please. The third vertical of the HECI will be the Higher Education Grants Council, which will carry out funding and financing of higher education based on transparent criteria, including the IDPs prepared by the institutions and the progress made on their implementation. We'll look at this in a little detail a while later. The HEGC will be entrusted with the disbursement of scholarships and developmental funds for launching new focus areas and expanding quality programs and offerings at higher education institutes across disciplines and fields. Next slide, please. The fourth vertical of the HECI will be the General Education Council, which will frame expected learning outcomes for higher education programs, also referred to as graduate attributes. Next slide, please. With reference to the second aspect of governance, that is the internal governance structure of an institution, the NEP brings in a new approach. Towards this aspect, the NEP focuses on institutional leadership and self-governance. A board of governors will be established for institutions that have received the appropriate graded accreditations that deem the institution ready for such a move. It will consist of highly qualified, competent, and dedicated individuals having proven capabilities and a strong sense of commitment to the institution. Next slide, please. Now let us look in greater detail at the implications and nuances of the regulatory architecture proposed. What is the objective of this whole approach? The stated objective in setting up a single regulator is to avoid inter-organizational conflicts inherent in a multiplicity of organizations. The NEP observes that the multiplicity of regulatory bodies creates conflicts of interest among these bodies and a resulting lack of accountability. In the new regime, the distinct functions of regulation, accreditation, funding, and academic standard setting will thus be performed by distinct, independent, and empowered bodies, but under a common umbrella. This is considered essential to create checks and balances in the system, minimize conflicts of interest, and eliminate concentration of power. Thus, this architecture eliminates duplication and disjunction of regulatory efforts by the multiple regulatory agencies that exist at the current time. Next slide, please. Therefore, the NEP signals a change in the approach towards regulation, one of simplification and rationalization. In fact, this is a fundamental principle stated at the very outset, a light but tight regulatory framework. The document speaks of transforming and overhauling regulation, criticizing the previous regime as being heavy-handed and over-regulated. It requires a relook and repealing of existing acts and restructuring of various existing regulatory bodies to enable this single point regulation. Its purpose is to ensure integrity, transparency, and resource efficiency of the educational system through audit and public disclosure, while encouraging innovation and out-of-the-box ideas through autonomy, good governance, and empowerment. Next slide, please. Certain implications of the NEP, which are not explicitly stated, are equally significant. The first is empowerment. This is true both of the HECI and the higher education institutions that it seeks to regulate. With reference to the HECI, to ensure that the four institutional structures carrying out the four essential functions work independently at the same time synergistically towards common goals, these four structures are set up as four independent verticals within one umbrella institution, which is the HECI. The empowerment extends to the HEIs, the higher education institutions that the HECI seeks to regulate. Government will phase out the affiliation of colleges in 15 years, and a stage-wise mechanism will be established for granting graded autonomy to colleges. Over a period of time, every college is expected to develop into either an autonomous degree granting college or a constituent college of a university. Another aspect of autonomy is the stress on self-governance. Through a suitable system of graded accreditation and graded autonomy, and in a phased manner over a period of 15 years, all HEIs in India will aim to become independent, self-governing institutions pursuing innovation and excellence. The board of governors of an institution will be empowered to govern the institution free of any external interference, make all appointments, including that of the head of the institution, and take all decisions regarding governance. There shall be an overarching legislation that will supersede any contravening provisions of other earlier legislation and would provide for constitution, appointment, modalities of functioning, rules and regulations, and the roles and responsibilities of the Board of Governors. New members of the board shall be identified by an expert committee appointed by the board, and the selection of new members shall be carried out by the Board of Governors itself. It is envisaged that all higher education institutions will be incentivized, supported, and mentored during this process and shall aim to become autonomous and have such an empowered Board of Governors by 2035. Next slide, please. Side by side with autonomy, there is also the accent on responsibility and accountability. Thus, the Board of Governors shall be responsible and accountable to the stakeholders through transparent self-disclosure of all relevant information. It will be responsible for meeting all regulatory guidelines mandated by the HECI through the National Higher Education Regulatory Council. While being provided with adequate funding, legislative enablement, and autonomy in a phased manner, all HEIs in turn will display commitment to institutional excellence, engagement with their local communities, and the highest standards of financial probity and accountability. Next slide, please. Another implication of a single regulator is uniformity of regulation, thus creating a level playing field. Public and private higher education institutions will be governed by the same set of norms for regulation, accreditation, and academic standards. This will also ensure that the state-backed university system will compete on equal terms with private and foreign universities. Next slide, please. This brings me to the NEP's emphasis on quality. The document repeatedly speaks of the quality imperative, reiterating the objectives of excellence, innovation, and merit. It observes that effective governance and leadership enables the culture of excellence and innovation in higher education institutions. It also states that the common feature of all world-class institutions globally, including India, is strong self-governance and outstanding merit-based appointments of institutional leaders. The primary instrument to attain these goals is institutional leadership. Structurally, there are several provisions which enable this focus on excellence and merit. Acquiring the appropriate graded accreditation, as we saw, is a precondition for the creation of the Board of Governors of a higher education institution. It is only upon receiving the appropriate graded accreditations that deem the institution ready for such a move that the Board of Governors can actually be established. It will consist of highly qualified, competent, and dedicated individuals with proven capability and a strong sense of commitment to the institution. Measures will be taken at all HEIs to ensure leadership of the highest quality and promote an institutional culture of excellence. Equity considerations will also be taken care of while selecting the members. All leadership positions and heads of institutions will be offered to persons with high academic qualifications and demonstrated administrative and leadership capabilities, along with abilities to manage complex situations. Leaders of a HEI will demonstrate strong alignment to constitutional values and the overall vision of the institution, along with attributes such as a strong social commitment, belief in teamwork, pluralism, ability to work with diversity, and a positive outlook. A selection shall be carried out through a rigorous, impartial, merit and competency-based process led by an eminent expert committee, or the EEC, which is constituted by the Board of Governors. While stability of tenure is important to ensure the development of a suitable culture, at the same time, leadership succession will be planned with care to ensure that good practices that define an institution's processes do not end due to a change in leadership. Leadership changes will come with sufficient overlaps and not remain vacant in order to ensure smooth transition. Outstanding leaders will be identified and developed early, working their way through a ladder of leadership positions. Next slide, please. To ensure quality as well as an effective accountability mechanism, the policy appears to rely on the tool of the IDP. Each institution will make a strategic institutional development plan on the basis of which institutions will develop initiatives, assess their own progress, and reach the goals set therein, which then could become the basis for further public funding. The IDP shall be prepared with the joint participation of board members, institutional leaders, faculty, students, and staff. Another tool proposed for effective regulation is transparency and disclosure. According to the NEP, financial probity, good governance, and the full online and offline public self-disclosure of all finances, audits, procedures, infrastructures, faculty, staff, courses, and educational outcomes will be effectively regulated. This information will have to be made available and kept updated and accurate by all higher education institutions on a public website maintained by the NHERC and on the institution's own websites. Any complaints or grievances from stakeholders and others arising out of the information placed in the public domain shall be adjudicated by the NHERC. Feedback from randomly selected students, including differently abled students, in each HEI will be solicited online to ensure valuable input at regular intervals. Next slide, please. Now let us look at how the NEP addresses aspects of innovation and entrepreneurship. In my interaction with students globally, I find that the practical application of studies is well built into their system. In India also, we have a number of examples wherein indigenous technology was developed by youth, even if they were outside the formal schooling network. However, it is not very long ago that parents in our country could see only two professions, a doctor or an engineer. All of us are aware that result announcements, especially of the 10th and 12th grade, were and are still being looked on as a very big event in life. The effort that a student has taken often gets unnoticed in the black and white colors of success and failure. With time, however, a whole arena of opportunities have opened up, and this is being gradually appreciated and encouraged by parents. This has led to diversified training and employment opportunities across sectors in different trades. Credit goes to the progress in communication technology that has familiarized people with the change markers or early torchbearers in the offbeat fields. This implies that innovativeness and creativity cannot be just stimulated by an institution alone, but demands interest, curiosity, and practice. The most important role is that of parents who need to go beyond the lines of log kya kahenge and let their kids explore and experiment in life to realize their full potential. Will this mindset change by the promises made by the NEP? The implementation of the education policy gives a huge scope for this experimentation. School education will have exploration, discussion, discovery, and analysis as modes of imparting education. With 10 bagless days, vocational education will start from class 6. With internships, it will be more experiential. This will open up fresh perspectives of the world surrounding the youth to engage them in tasks that will groom their mind holistically, to be able to find breakthrough solutions to new age problems which adult rigid minds might not even imagine. Coding will also be initiated from the same class, which is virtually the fourth language for India, which is becoming the IT and software hub of the world. Coding will help kids in critical thinking by learning to dissect steps to problem solving. Not only that, it helps children with instant gratification of being a creator. Who knows? This may germinate early age entrepreneurs. University education flexibility with multiple entry and exit options will foster exploration and risk-taking. It will free students from rigid academic silos, while multidisciplinary courses will open new horizons for innovation. Think of graduating with physics and music, mathematics and astrology, ancient Indian culture and modern science, and so on. The focus on equality and social awareness will discourage the rat race towards conventional streams of engineering and medicine. This will pave the way for new age entrepreneurship in India, which will look beyond to solve unique Indian problems. The Skill Up India program arose because of the enormous gap of applied skill needed for students to become industry ready. Students are loaded with theoretical knowledge of stereotypical subjects which are not productive from day one of the job. The NEP transformation will change the persona of generations to come who will be armed with relevant skills, and it will encourage students to become passionate self-learners due to the flexibility of choice that they will have. They will no longer be mile wide and inch deep, but rather their own passion will build the depth to drive innovation. It will prepare them for a newer, self-reliant tomorrow. This is set to make the foundation for the next century, an era where an individual need not be stuck in a single profession, but can seamlessly transition across professions, which will be enabled by education system through reskill and upskill. What better impetus can be there for innovation and entrepreneurship? The biggest accelerator would be reducing the gap between research and education. The National Research Foundation brings a ray of hope. It hopefully will catapult research grants from government as well as industry by establishing strong academia-industry relationship. However, the research ecosystem in India must go hand in hand with entrepreneurship to be sustainable, since India cannot afford to inject millions of rupees into research without early returns. The NEP 2020 can help us restructure the current education system. At the institutional and structural level, changes need to be encouraged in the infrastructure, which allows interaction, group learning, and less of competition. Pedagogy needs to be more customized that ensures participative learning in the class. The training methodology should help in engaging students innovatively in a manner that is not defined just by their performance, but their active participation and initiatives. Building on foundational skills and emphasizing the use of mother tongue is also an important element that needs to be part of the curriculum. COVID-19 has taught us that technology, if put to the right use without intimidating the learners, can accelerate the learning and development process. NEP's emphasis on digital media is an important step in this direction. Finally, mindset reform. Students need to look beyond their notebooks and observe and develop perspectives on the world around them. Different sorts of exercises may be developed to help students learn from the communities around them and develop personal and social collective responsibility. To ensure that this happens, mindset reform is needed at 3 levels: parents, teachers, and the community. All 3 players must get rid of those processes that inhibit the overall growth of the child. It also calls for a change in the overall approach where the outcomes of education are valued and not merely the process. A learner-centric process needs to be the foundation in all these reforms. The NEP definitely gives a huge scope and window of opportunity for all of us to move beyond mark sheets and work towards the holistic development of the child. Reforms, if packaged and developed in a participatory manner, do create a positive impact. The moment a reform or a change is presented as a comfort value rather than an intrusion, its acceptability among various stakeholders is bound to increase, leading to positive outcomes. In conclusion, we may say that the NEP is ambitious in its transformative ideals and its prioritization of excellence and merit. With legislative and financial backing, the NEP augurs well for a new and vibrant India poised to take its rightful place in the world stage. For sure, the NEP puts us abreast with model education systems of the world. However, the tire is yet to hit the road. The success lies in rightful implementation. If done well, the future moves like social security can further bolster risk-taking ability to foster entrepreneurial grit. Time will show us where we land. Thank you all. Good luck. You will be the beneficiaries of the new education policy. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for your informative talk. I would now request Dr. Supriya, ma'am, Professor and President IIC, to propose vote of thanks.
Ma'am, am I audible, ma'am? Morning,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yeah. So, good morning to one and all. It's my privilege as a president of IIC to extend my very warm thanks to our today's speaker, Dr. Kalpana Gopalan, who has in her very busy schedule was spent time to share a very value information about this NEC's focus on innovation and entrepreneurship in a higher education. Ma'am, it was very informative and it was very useful for our faculty and also for our students, ma'am. Thanks a lot for giving such a value-added information about the topic, ma'am. Thank you. As our Dr. Nagendra sir said, your profile itself is an inspiration for us to achieve something innovative and everything. Thank you, ma'am. And also I extend very thanks to our principal management who supports for all the events, whichever we just wanted to endeavor in our college. Thank you, sir. And I would thank a special thanks to our Vice President, Dr. H.G. Nagendra sir, who also supports and who motivates us to conduct such an events in our college. And I would like to thank Dr. Vanipriya, who has actually taken a lot of pains to organize such an event under IIC, and also the coordinators, Dr. Lakshmi and Padma Gayatri ma'am from TCE, and also all the students who have been involved in this program to make it success. And not but the least, our students and also faculties who joined this program and made it success. Thanks to one and all. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Participants, if you have any questions, you can put it either in chat box or unmute yourself and you can ask, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yeah.
I
morning.
have one question, ma'am. Ma'am,
Yeah,
how will NEP improve the quality of effective leadership?
See, the whole focus of NEP is merit-based. And again, they are reiterating that importance of quality and the desire for excellence. So, you can see that the whole structure itself is premeditated on that premise that quality and excellence are most important. And that is why they will choose, as the policy says, only such leaders will be chosen who have both social commitment and commitment to the institution, as well as high academic credentials, and even other skills like complex problem-solving skills. So it's you can see that no, it's not just a statement of intent or a statement or naam ke vaste what we say. No, not just stated like that. The whole structure is premeditated on that premise that there should be excellent leadership. And only when, the requirements of accreditation are fulfilled, then only the board of governance. So the next step, every step depends on the previous step. So there's a whole path dependence there, that, you first fulfill the requirements, then you're allowed to have a board of governance. For constituting a board of governance, you go through a particular process which focuses on excellence. The board of governance has the autonomy for choosing leaders of merit, like the principal, vice principal, director of the institution and all. So, and even the funding is dependent on the institute meeting the goals. So it is not just as a wishful statement. The whole structure is premeditated on that, and that is, in fact, that is the strength of this policy. So that is how I think it will give good leaders for tomorrow, and people like you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Any questions? You can put it either in chat box or you can ask ma'am directly.
Somebody wanted my contact details. Okay, let me just, somewhere I saw that contact
Yes,
details.
ma'am,
Let
in the
me
chat
just, I am not able to use the chat box. Or
Yeah, Ratnakar Devaru, he asked, sir, can
Yeah.
you share Dr. Kalpana Gopalan?
Yeah.
Details?
Dr. Vani, can you just share Vignesha's email? Then it will reach me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Sure,
yeah.
ma'am.
I found the chat box, so let me just do it. I'll just share my EA's email, and you can mail anytime. It will reach me, and I'm happy to mentor you or advise you at any time. You can just connect with me.
I think no more questions. Thank you so much, ma'am. With this,
Thank
we
you.
reach the end of the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a nice day. Have a great life. Bye-bye,
Thank you,
everybody.
madam.
Bye, ma'am.
Thank
Thank
you
you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.